Hey, what is up, guys? It's Brendan here, and today we're going to be taking a look at 7 of the best high-risk merchant account services for your small business. Now, high risk, we're going to be going through exactly what that means and how that breaks down, because there are even multiple different categories of risk when it comes to setting up merchant accounts and getting paid and processing those payments in your business. So that's what we're going to be diving into here in today's video. And if you do want to check out any of the companies mentioned here in today's video, you can go and check out those links linked down below in the video description, again, some of which are affiliate links, which is a great way to help out and support the channel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into things. So taking a look at the number one spot in terms of high risk. Now, this company, Payment Cloud, is very well known for processing high risk merchants. They also have a very handy dandy table, which we're going to be taking a look at here, to define exactly what these different risk categories mean so that you understand this best when taking a look really throughout the rest of the video, and just so you have this in the back of your mind when you're considering, what business you're either brand new considering getting into, or you're looking to start processing payments because maybe you got a notification from another company saying, hey, you're too much risk, we're holding your money, because that can tend to happen when you are a higher risk merchant, is that you might get your money held up, or you have to wait a longer period of time to get those payments, or maybe you're just getting a lot of chargebacks and you're tired of paying the excessive fees and things like that. So these companies do have a lot of overall experience with higher risk merchants. Again, Payment Cloud being one of those popular solutions for higher risk merchants. So again, to explain what higher risk merchants mean, there's 3 categories generally speaking. There's a low risk, medium risk, and high risk. So if you are in the e-commerce space, or maybe you're selling certain types of physical products, that tends to be actually lower risk. So if you're in like a retail business and you need a payment processor, maybe like as you can see here, the example categories, because it is very categorically based in terms of, categorizing risk associated with a certain type of small business. If you're in the apparel industry, home goods, moving companies, parking garages, pet supplies, beauty products, books, DVDs, auto parts, these are all types of products that have a clear product and service being exchanged for that money. So, and the overall dollar amount is typically a little bit lower. So, maybe some home goods might be like $1,000, but still, in general, most of these types of products, apparel, pet supplies especially, that's under $100 a lot of times, maybe even under that $1,000 range. So this tends to be lower risk. Maybe if it's a $20 product, $30 product, and because you're actually shipping that physical product to the customer, there's just less overall risk of someone feeling like they got burnt and contacting their bank or their credit card company and being like, hey, no, charge that back. I didn't receive what I expected. So that's generally the overall risk that these companies are combating. So Payment Cloud can be a good option for that. Now, to define what medium risk is as well, medium risk is sort of an e-commerce subscription. So maybe you have recurring billing. Maybe someone forgets about it. And, that's something that might add a little bit more risk to your business and for the payment processor as well, because that could increase potential chargebacks. You also have accounting services. Maybe someone felt like they got burnt. Okay, maybe they feel like, I didn't get the service, because that's sort of like a more in the air type of thing, because with a product, it's very clear the value exchange, especially on some of these other ones like document preparation, property management, SEO services, web design. Some of the value exchange is a little bit loose, like, $500 for this service. Like, what exactly is that? It's harder to define. And because it's harder to define, that can create additional risk and sort of show that like, maybe, your business might have more risk associated with it. Now, one of the nice things about Payment Cloud, or a lot of other companies we're going to be getting into here in today's video, is they do take a look at your business holistically and see your overall payment history, not just purely based on, the category right from the get-go, although they will consider that. They do take into account your overall transaction history, the types of, if you don't have that much problems, you have a better chance of getting better rates and better fees when it comes to signing up with really any kind of payment provider. And then At the high risk level, this is beyond, and honestly, like most businesses in the low risk, medium risk, you could probably go with honestly like almost any payment gateway, payment platform, payment processor. A lot of the other ones I mentioned here on the channel, you could kind of go with any. But if you are in that high risk category, this is including like adult products, bail, as you can see here, the list goes on. You also have like things like that. Certain types of health products could also fall into this category, dating or things like that, jet charter, tech support, certain types of quote unquote high risk industries, things that are, maybe a little bit taboo. Those types of things typically fall into that higher risk category because it just generally, there's more chance of people canceling things or making a large payment. And they say that too with some of those like types of service industries, like if you're charging somebody a high dollar amount, that also kind of goes into that medium risk. If it's a high volume based business, that's also can sort of be on that like medium/high risk range. So this is where you really do need a lot of the companies we're going to be going through here in today's video. If you're in any of those higher risk categories, because it just tends to come with, more issues, right? Chargebacks, and companies can help you win disputes and make sure that payments are processed so that you actually get the money in your business. As you can see here, traditional banks and payment processing companies don't know how to handle you because your industry is more risky and they just don't necessarily want to get burned. And that's where a lot of these companies come in because they have a more holistic approach, taking a look at you and your overall history and giving you more of a chance than just like holding your money and being like, or just getting outright denied too, because there's a lot of companies out there, payment processors that just don't want these types of, industries being processed and these payments being processed through their network. So I did just want to give you that overview here. And Payment Cloud does have a good way of breaking that down here on the low, medium, high risk. Again, if you're on the low, medium, you honestly could probably apply for any. High risk, you will probably want to stick to the list here in today's video. Now, a lot of these companies do also have integration with e-commerce, online platforms, or some of these are for accepting payments in person as well, so in person or online. A lot of these companies you will need to apply for directly, and they don't necessarily list their pricing right out the gate for all of them, just because it can vary, especially with these other types of niches, categories. They might give you a custom rate depending on your overall volume and the category you're in. Just due to the risk, they still need to protect themselves as well. So do bear that in mind, but these companies do provide the services and do know how to handle you. So that's Payment Cloud at that number one spot, just because they are the most popular for higher risk merchants. Moving in at number two, we have Hellum. Now, Hellum is for US and Canada, and you can get started for free with them. They don't have any kind of monthly subscription attached to them. Now, I will say they are probably better for that like kind of low or medium level risk. They're not necessarily as catered to the high risk like Payment Cloud, but it could still be worth applying for them and trying them, because they do have some of the lowest payment processing in the industry in terms of their overall pricing and structure. You can save quite a bit of money on their lower rates, because they do charge not just a flat rate, but actually on a per card basis. So if maybe you just don't want to accept American Express, you could save a bit of money there just by purely processing MasterCard, Visa, or Discover. And they also have pass-on fees, which is another popular thing where you can actually get free credit card processing by passing the fee onto your customer. So that is another option there that they do have available, which could be another nice way to save money. I just figured I would include Hellum in this list because they are, one of the more affordable options if you're able to get in with them, depending on, again, the risk tolerance of your business. You may or may not be able to get with them, but it could be worth at least trying to get started with them, depending on your industry, because they do have some of the lowest rates on there. Now, for Keaton Online, it is a little bit more expensive compared to the in-person, or even if you're doing ACH payment. I know this video is more focused around credit card processing. But yeah, I figured I would include them as well because Hellum could be a good option for lower rates and just processing payments in your business, whether it be in person or online as well. Payment Cloud does also work for in person and online too. depending on, how your business is structured, how you're going to be processing payments. Hellum, again, another great option. Moving in at number 3, we have national processing. Now, I've covered national processing in a couple other videos. They are another good merchant payment processing platform, and they do also specialize for high risk as well. So they do have some high risk solutions depending on your business. So they can help you specifically within the high risk category. They do have a monthly service fee though. So that is something worth keeping in mind in terms of their overall breakdown and pricing plans, is that they do have that fee. So they do have a base rate. And then they also have the additional fee. And depending on, the overall risk category that you fall into, you might also be paying a slightly higher fee there as well. So they do have a monthly fee, but it could make more sense for you to go with them, especially depending on the country that you're in. And as you can see here, if you're processing over $30,000 a month, they can give you also a personalized pricing strategy given your overall volume. So it does just depend on the industry. I would recommend at least contacting, honestly, a lot of these companies and seeing like how your specific category falls into their overall pricing structure, because it really does depend given your overall transaction volume, the category that you're in. They do also focus for processing payments online and in person, so you can do both, whether it be in person or e-commerce, so you can do either one. And they do include a terminal, which is nice. So you can get a smart terminal with them as well. So if you need a whole point of sale system that is more for like their advanced plan, again, I would just recommend contacting, honestly, National Processing or really most of these companies for your business to get a more personalized, look at your overall processing. Moving on, next in this list, we have SOAR Payments. Now, they, similar to Payment Cloud, do purely focus on high risk merchant accounts and merchant situations where you are in that higher risk category. This is, as you can see here, hard to place and non-traditional businesses. So SOAR Payments does fall in that category. So in terms of the categories that SOAR Payments services, they are offering, for mid and high risk industries. Not going to go through this entire list, but these are things like antiques, collectibles, insurance, medical billing, certain medical type of products, property management, certain types of services that might be, again, like kind of hard to categorize the specific value being exchanged. That might be like legal services, tax, accounting, things like that. Certain types of credit services, certain types of other products, web design, things like that. The list is all here if you do want to specifically go through. I will be leaving links down below in the video description as well. They do also have, what industries they do and do not serve. So I would recommend going through that list and seeing like, oh, does this company service my specific industry? Yes or no? Because really that is half the battle when you're looking at either starting a brand new business in a sort of risky industry and making sure that you have your payments so you can actually get paid in your business. That's a pretty big thing to make sure you have taken care of. So I would recommend either contacting them or going through the list here to see like what industries they do serve or don't serve. But again, SOAR Payments is an option for people in that high risk category, especially the higher risk, similar to Payment Cloud, where they do specialize in that. Moving on, next in this list, we have Payhawk. This is another company that does also service the higher risk industries, so you can feel that you're actually taken care of there. They offer payment services in terms of their pricing, their payment processing fees. They are like a contact, so you do have to like contact them to get the actual fees from them. That's honestly something you're going to find pretty popular now in terms of the overall like high risk, healthcare, e-commerce, different types of categories that you might fall into. Payhawk can work for you in that situation. And a lot of them are contact only. So I figure I just have to say that in this video because it's hard to list out all the specific fees exactly, because a lot of them are dependent on your business. Moving on, next in this list, we have Stripe. Now, Stripe is hands down one of the most popular payment platforms, and I figured I would include them in this list, not because they specifically focus on high-risk businesses, but because, a lot of people, you may feel that you're in sort of a higher risk situation, and maybe you are, but if you're in maybe that medium risk level, Stripe could be a really good option for you, just because they are one of the most popular platforms. They have a lot of flexible payment solutions and are pretty easy to get signed up with. Stripe could be a good option for you because they do focus on high volume businesses, so they can give you really good rates if you do process higher volumes. A lot of big service or SaaS companies, software as a service companies, do tend to use Stripe as their payment provider. So if you're in that sort of mid-level risk, I would at least advise giving Stripe a shot, because they could be a good solution for you, and then you don't have to deal with maybe some of the extra, quote unquote hoopla that some of the other higher risk, companies kind of lock you in with those long-term contracts or cancellation fees and things like that, because you might, deal with that with some of the more high risk industries. So if you can get away with using Stripe, could be a good solution for you. I get that not necessarily everybody might be approved, or you might have already been declined by Stripe in the past, but if you haven't, I would recommend giving them a shot, because you don't have to set yourself up with any sort of long-term contracts that a lot of the other, high-risk focused industry merchant account services do sort of lock you into. So that is something worth keeping in mind. And Stripe does have a lot of different payment solutions. They have the in-person, the online, and they can process a lot of high volume. They don't really have any kind of downtime either. So, that could be a really good option for you. That's why I figured I would include them in this list. Last but not least, we also have SMB Global. Now, this is one of the other ones that does focus around high-risk businesses for the merchant account services. You may be locked into some sort of contract or cancellation thing as well, but they do provide, chargeback prevention, as well as, the different merchant account services for higher-risk industries. This could be certain types of furniture or, supplement products, things like that. This is sort of what they also focus on. So if you've maybe tried with some of the other companies, you might have a better approval ratio with them. Again, that risk does come along with a cost, honestly, with a lot of times is those long-term contracts that, some of these other types of merchant account services do lock you into, but it's because of the overall risk that your business industry is in. It is just something worth considering. But again, SMB Global could be a good option for you as a higher risk business. So again, guys, I hope you, found this list helpful of some of those, mountain climber, higher risk type industries that you might have problems with. Again, even if you're in that like lower medium risk, sometimes, companies still, if you have a higher ratio of chargebacks, you still might have some issues. So I would advise checking out a lot of these different companies, maybe getting a quote before signing any contracts. See which one might give you the best deal. Compare a lot of these around, shop around, see which might be the best solution for you in your business. So again, guys, if you found this helpful, if you want to check out any of the companies mentioned in this list, I will have links linked down below in the video description. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, then be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and notification bell so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Anyway, guys, that was all for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.